it's Wii U's birthday. 10 years, actually. It came out on November 18th. If you're one of the few 2,000 people that got it, me.
Oh dear, he's bringing it out.
Yeah, if you're one of those few people that got a Wii U, the successor to the Wii, the U, one of the most confusing titles that probably mislead a lot of people. Like, is this an expansion or is it what is this? And so, what's interesting about this console, like I am a Nintendo fan. You can call me fanboy if you like, but I'm not like dedicated where I'm not gonna like defend them on everything because this was not the best console ever. But I think nothing could beat the Virtual Boy, right? And so,
oh, wow.
And so, but this console I was a sucker for because this game is almost like it's a console that I believe kind of gave us the Switch, right? The whole like the whole like remote.
I mean, you can see a lot of the Switch elements in it, like as you're even just like holding it up, like you can see the side buttons. Like I could look at it and I'm like, okay, I see the left and right Joy-Cons, the center screen. They just kind of broke it apart, dissected it. I mean, it's basically the Switch before the Switch.
Yeah, and it was going. It had a good idea of the way they were trying to sell it to people was more like, hey, your family or your cousins, whatever, can watch TV, watch show, while you can just play this, by yourself, or you could play it on the screen, and whatnot. And then like I used to use it like by my bed. I would play by my bed. But there was some issues. Just the console itself, like the battery life for the Switch for itself didn't really last long, about 4 or 6 hours. Sadly enough. The distance. This was not a Switch. So, after so much feet, it will lose its signal. And then it was probably just the marketing was just not really good. And the no support of third-party games were not coming there. I mean, a lot of the games that came for the Wii U were games that been out for a while at other consoles. Like when you heard like Arkham City was coming to this. I think it was Arkham City. But anyways, you get one of those, Mass Effect 3, but you never got Mass Effect 1 and 2. Of course, EA was not on the bus for this. And so Nintendo, this is actually, weirdly enough, you could argue this was Nintendo's Dreamcast.
Yeah. And a lot of older people that bought like the first Wii, they really like the novelty of like the nunchucks and being able to do the motion stuff. And then you get the Wii U and you're like, oh, it's back to more of a traditional console where you use this thumb pad and stuff. Like, where are the nunchucks? I want the nunchucks. I want to do my Wii Sports and Wii Bowling.
Right, but that's why it did come in with the backwards compatibility of the Wii that you could play on this. So that was a good thing. Just like the reason why I keep my Wii to this day, because it's backwards compatible to a GameCube. And, I don't want to buy another GameCube, so that was the best I can do, and it gives me a reason to keep my GameCube game. So at least that was one of the good things about this. But it also weirdly enough, there were some good qualities, good ideas for it. For one, the virtual console library was pretty good on this console.
Still going.
Yeah, well, now it's shut down for it.
But I'm like the
continuation. Sorry, but no, this console was. I know it started for the Wii, but here they did a good job. I mean, this is the last console that you got to play Game Boy Advances and DSs before they shut down. Where you can't purchase those games anymore. Yeah. And then the fact that I'm trying to think what else on here that also did it. The different ideas of the menus that you could sort out everything. I don't know if they were the first one to start doing folders, but the way they did it on the pad was really, really cool. The fact that it was slick on the switching screens on the fly for that you could play on the console itself. Of course, their Pro controllers were really good for that, so it really compliment for what this console was. It was really good for the streamings of your movies and stuff. You could sit and relax on. So it ran well for what it was, but it did hurt that was marketing with the confusion of it, and a lot of people were not getting it because people were kind of a little annoyed by the gimmick. People were kind of done with the gimmicks and stuff. But I think most importantly, if you're a Nintendo fan, the reason you got this console no matter what was for your library of games.
Yep.
it was probably harder to get newcomers coming in, but you knew the veterans or the fans were going to get this regardless. Either it was going to use as a museum piece in their history books of themselves, or let alone they just enjoy the games. But there were some good games on this console that I personally enjoyed, and I made a list of games that some of these games were great. There are better successors now to this, and they have moved to the Switch. But regardless, I want to kind of represent because of this Wii U. A lot of these games got to the Switch that a lot of people got their hands on. And it wasn't for the Wii U, we wouldn't have these games. So, like Super Mario Maker was a really good idea for this console because you can do your whole menu on this pad, and that was pretty cool. And the fact that you can join other people that make stages, and you can go. Basically, you don't even have to. You get two choices. You can make your own stages, or hell, you can have fun just enjoying everybody else's stages online. And that was really cool. Cause I missed the boat of making my own Mario stages and whatnot, and I wish I did that. Now we have Mario Maker 2 that can do that job, and I might need to pick that up just to have it. Mario Kart 8, which, one of the best selling Mario Kart games and probably one of the most selling Mario Kart games. I know that you're on the buzz of they're taking advantage of repurposing the game as a deluxe edition on the Switch, but it got more.
I'm not gonna say that.
But regardless, they got more in people's hands, and it's sold very well. Weirdly enough, it's still selling very well for each month,
and still not discounted.
Yeah. I mean, like you know how it is in the business. If people still buying it, I ain't dropping it. And so, but Mario Kart 8 started on this, and I was a big Mario Kart 8 fan on this thing. It was really cool for what it is, especially when you play it on the TV. Your bottom parts showed you where everybody was driving and everything like that. Splatoon. This is the first time we actually saw Nintendo start doing something with shooters. Yeah. And so that was pretty cool that it was fighting over territory with paint and stuff. And then you can use this as a kind of aim for your gyroscope and whatnot. So I thought that was pretty cool. Bayonetta 2. This was a very unique game because this was the whole debate of people were upset that Bayonetta 2 was exclusive to Nintendo, but people didn't know the story that Nintendo put money in to make it exclusive for that. And if it wasn't for them, Bayonetta 2 would not exist. And we would not get Bayonetta 3 as we speak. But you can get Bayonetta 2 and 1 now digitally or physically if you can find a copy at a good price on your Switch right now. Xenoblade Chronicle X. That one from the Xenoblade, era. They're not part of the trilogy, but they are a one-off of but it is kind of one of the bigger games from Monolith Soft. For people that don't know, there are people that did the Xenosaga games along with Xenogear, if you remember any of those games. But this was a game that was just a humongous, massive world. You're talking about open world games. They were crushing it. The graphics were amazing on this console. The gameplay was awesome. And I spent over almost 100 hours in this game because the map is just so freaking huge, and it was very detailed. And the fact that at a certain level you got the right mechs and fight and mechs and stuff. This game has not been transferred over yet. I hope it does one day. But if you have a Wii U, I recommend getting a copy of this game in some shape or form. If you're a big RPG fan, I think it's 100% worth it. And I think gets a lot of people into the Xeno Chronicles. And so and then Nintendo definitely got their highlight for the indies, Shovel Knight. Yeah. I was part of that Kickstarter, supported that, and I got to play it on the Nintendo, but it just felt right at home so much that they got an amiibo for it. You can probably see it right there. They made an amiibo for it. Hey, if I'm going to support a cause that's dead, I might as well make sure to show how dedicated. Because what was one of the biggest things for this? Amiibos.
Yeah.
Amiibos were humongous, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge market for them.
Yeah, Amiibos were everywhere, and that was the big selling point because of Smash Brothers, right? Because of Smash Brothers with the dual of not only being on the Wii U, but the 3DS. And I believe that you can even connect them, and one of them could actually be a controller that can also be added to fight into in the game of multiplayer. So we can't forget about that game, definitely. And then you have your remasters that are the Wind Waker and the Twilight Princess, which they were great remakes for it. Too bad that it's on a console that's no longer around, along with Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was the swan song on the Wii U. And so never know how to run. And then of course your Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which really graphically really fun game, really very challenging. I thought it was a great follow up to DK Return. I wish DK Returns could have got a Wii U edition instead of the 3DS version, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do because the original was on the Wii. But Overall, Wii U was a good attempt for the idea. It just didn't sell well due to the marketing and stuff like that. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't pick one up in the future. If you see one on a sale and you see some good games, I think it's worth picking it up for some of these classic games. I think the games for it are going to be harder than getting the console itself, in my opinion. But if you can get them, some of these games that have not been ported to Switch, then you're in pretty good deal. Especially like if some of those games are just too expensive. Like I have Bayonetta on the Wii U. I don't have it on Switch because it's still too expensive, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But I can't speak for Mario Kart 8 though. Mario Kart 8, I feel like you definitely have to get the Switch edition because like at least like they attempt. The deluxe
version is so much better.
Yeah, they just gave you so much more stuff for that. And then of course Smash Bros. The same thing. If you wanted to have it, just to have it, but you know the Ultimate is definitely the better edition.
Yeah, Ultimate is just...
Yeah, but if you're looking for your Zeldas and RPG games, this might be the one for you. Now I talked enough, and I already know that you never owned a Wii U, and I don't think you were ever. It never kind of, I don't know, like appeared interest in you at all, right?
It just never dawned on me because like. You know, I always give Nintendo a hard time because they don't really put out the most powerful machines and consoles out on the market. And I couldn't justify spending the money for, like, the performance you could get out of that as far as, like, 1080p and all that stuff and HD. I was just like, no, I was already, you know, PS3, you know, Vita is life. Vita is life type of person. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. But definitely, this is definitely worth for collectors.
No, for collectors, it's just like if I was at a garage sale or a GameStop and I saw one, you know, and it wasn't too priced and it looked in good condition, I'd pick one up and, like you said, go out, grab some of those niche RPGs, go through and play them, and I'd probably have a great time and be like, hey, I wish I would have had this back in the day. But, you know, I haven't run across one, but I wouldn't say I wouldn't pick one up. I mean, I own a Switch.
Yeah, so, but let this be a future lesson for Nintendo that let's hope that we never have another situation like this. So, be careful what you name your console because it can be very, it can be fun. So, yeah, maybe not Switch U or Super Switch. You know, call it something that really makes it stand out in its own way.
But let's get on that new Switch though. Seriously.